Hey, let's just dive right into this explainer. You know that feeling when you roll up to a super busy intersection and your brain just freezes? There are literally too many signs, flashing lights, and painted lines all screaming for your attention at once. Well, today, we're going to take all that overwhelming chaos and transform it into a perfectly predictable, easy-to-follow system. We are going to decode the definitive hierarchy of traffic control.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. First, the intersection overload problem. Second, the golden priority principle. Third, the 5 authority levels. Fourth, handling failures and exceptions. And finally, some tools for intersection mastery. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The intersection overload problem. Navigating the chaos. So, ask yourself this absolutely crucial question. Which instruction should you obey when everything happens at once? Trying to obey every single signal simultaneously is exactly what causes that panic we talked about. Imagine rolling up and a light tells you one thing, a painted line says another, and a sign just contradicts the whole shebang. How on earth do you choose?
Picture yourself sitting right behind the wheel. You're looking at a glowing green light, a solid red stop sign, and someone holding up a literal stop hand, all at the exact same time. It's the ultimate illustration of intersection overload. If you try to treat all those signals as equals, well, your brain just can't process the conflicting commands. Thankfully, the law prevents a total meltdown through a very strict sequence of authority.
Moving on to Section 2, the golden priority principle, the ultimate solution.
Okay, take a second and really let this golden principle sink in, because it is the absolute foundational rule for everything we're about to cover. When two traffic controls appear to conflict, the higher authority always takes precedence. You don't, average them out. You don't just pick the one that looks safer. No, you strictly follow the highest rank. Think of it like a giant scale. The heavy weight of a higher authority easily overrides any conflicting, lower-level information. See that solid red block of higher authority? It completely tips the balance, launching that whole cluster of confusing signs and lights right out of the equation. And honestly, that is exactly what you need to do in your own mind.
All right, Section 3, the 5 authority levels, building the pyramid.
So how does this actually work? Well, authority on the road is structured exactly like a pyramid. We start with the golden triangle at the very top and work our way down to the base. We've got police at the peak, then lights, then signs, then markings, and way down at the bottom, default rules. Let's really dig into each of these layers.
Notice how level 1, the police officer, completely overrides everything else. Lights, signs, lines, default rules, gone. That's because humans can react to real-time, real-world conditions. An officer's hand signal literally bypasses every other rule on the road. If a cop tells you to stop on a green light, you stop. If they wave you right through a red light, you go. Simple as that.
And this right here is a totally crucial distinction. Human officers adapt instantly to emergencies, whereas traffic lights, they're just automated machines. A human can see an ambulance coming from a mile away, or a sudden collision blocking the lane ahead. Fixed controls are totally blind to all of that. And that is exactly why human direction sits firmly at the absolute peak of the pyramid. Now, stepping down to level 2, an active green light forces you to go, completely overriding the static red stop sign that might be mounted right next to it. I know it feels kind of unnatural to just cruise past a stop sign without stopping, but when that level 2 light is green, that level 3 metal sign is effectively invisible. The dynamic light wins every single time.
Now, if there are no police and no working lights around, level 3 traffic signs kick in. These establish your baseline legal obligations. We're talking your standard stop signs, yield signs, mandatory direction signs, the usual suspects. They're your primary guide for who has the right of way. But remember their limit, they remain in full force unless they're explicitly overwritten by those higher authorities we just talked about.
Moving on down to level 4, road markings. Paint dictates lane discipline and stopping points, sure, but keep in mind it is entirely subordinate to human direction, electronic lights, and vertical signs. Those crisp white arrows painted on the asphalt do a beautiful job organizing traffic, but if a temporary sign says that lane is closed, or an officer redirects you right across a solid white line, the paint loses.
Finally, right down at the very bottom, we have level 5 default traffic rules. Things like priority to the right, maintaining a safe speed, general lane discipline. These act as your ultimate fallback system when literally all other infrastructure is absent. Think of a super quiet residential neighborhood or an unmarked dirt road. These rules are foundational, absolutely, but they are the weakest form of authority on the road. Okay, Section 4, Handling Failures and Exceptions, Adapting on the Fly.
So what happens when the system breaks? If you approach a traffic light that's totally dead or just flashing yellow, you don't just guess what to do, right? You adapt instantly to the next functioning level of authority. Think of it as a strict sequence. No police, no lights, boom. You immediately shift your brain to hunting for level 3 signs.
To make that process super simple, just follow these sequential drop-down steps. Step 1, recognize this system failure. Literally realize the lights are out. And please, don't assume crossing traffic is going to stop for you. Step 2, drop to signs. If there are 0 signs, step 3, drop to markings. And if there is literally nothing but blank pavement, step 4, you drop all the way down to your default general rules.
Let's take a second to bust a huge misconception here. The moment a level 1 officer is present, the so-called right-hand priority myth, it just vanishes. Poof. Sure, in a scenario with 0 controls, the car on the right gets priority. But if an officer is standing there signaling the other car to move, the fact that a car is on the right doesn't matter even a little bit. The highest authority commands the intersection. Period.
So the really crucial takeaway here is this strict definition. Level 5 rules, like right-hand priority, only kick in when every single higher level of control is missing. The idea that traffic from the right always has priority is actually a pretty dangerous myth, mostly because of that word always. It's just a default, and defaults, as we've seen, are absolutely meant to be overridden.
All right, our final section, Section 5, Tools for Intersection Mastery, Passing Your Exam.
I want you to memorize this single sentence cascade right now. People control lights, control signs, control lines, control normal driving. Seriously, write it down or just burn it in your brain. People, lights, signs, lines, normal driving. If you can just repeat that simple phrase to yourself, you can mentally reconstruct the entire traffic hierarchy in like under 3 seconds, no matter how stressful or chaotic the driving situation gets.
Now, if you're taking a test, remember that examiners use a very specific strategic mindset. They almost never test just one concept at a time. When they throw a crazy, complex intersection scenario at you, they are deliberately layering police, lights, and signs all together. Why? They want to see if you'll fall into the trap of looking at the wrong level. It's a total trick.
But you can beat the trick by isolating and answering these 3 critical questions in order. First, what controls are present? Scan for all 5 levels. Second, which has the highest authority? Locate the absolute highest one there. And third, and guys, this is the real secret, which must be ignored. You just mentally erase everything lower on the pyramid. It really is that simple. So what does this all mean for you? The next time you roll up to a chaotic, overwhelmingly complex intersection, are you going to freeze up, or are you going to let the hierarchy guide you smoothly right on through?